Welcome and Merry Christmas wherever you are in this amazing globe of ours. Here in Australia, it's early in Christmas morning. It's 7 a.m. here, and I'm pleased to say it's finally raining where I am on the Gold Coast. For those of you that have been tuning into the news around the world, Australia's been in massive bushfires around the country, and there is still bushfires raging in many parts of Australia today. And I just ask that in this festive time that you hold those firefighters in your prayers. And, you know, we've had a tremendous loss of property, but more importantly, we've had tremendous loss of life here. We've had two of our volunteer firefighters, young men that lost their lives just over a week ago now. I can't begin to imagine what their families are going through on Christmas morning with young children, and no longer will daddy be part of their lives. So it's a very, very tragic time. And look, you know, you can point the finger and blame global warming. You can do whatever. But look, there's many reasons that cause bushfires. And I think the most important thing we can do is send them our prayers and pray for rain, please. We really do need it here in Australia. So let's liven it up a little bit. It is Christmas, and Merry Christmas to everybody here and around the world. It's my most favourite holiday of the year. I just come alive at Christmas. I think it's a magical time of the year where not only is the year coming to a close, but I think with all the Christmas carols that we've all been singing, and I've been feeding a number of them daily through my Facebook account, to try and get everybody into a positive frame this year, that we all need to look at that this is a time to give. It's a time to be loving. It's a time to be kind. It's a time to be thankful and grateful for what we have in our lives, even if it is that we woke up this morning and we're still breathing. That's a really important thing. There's many people around the globe that are lonely this Christmas, or aren't feeling well, or just had a recent loss and don't really feel that this is a magical time of the year as it should be. And that's a very difficult time for a lot of people. So let's try and put a smile on their dial today, and let's make this the most magical Christmas show we've ever done here on A1R Psychic Radio since I've been here, which has been nearly 2.5 years now. So the first part of the show this week, as we always do, we do a card of the week. And now this is from our new Secrets of Tarot cards. Now this is the 9 of Cups, and I think this is the most magical card to have at this time of the year. It says improvements underway. It's also asking us not to feel a little bit too smug or pleased with ourselves. It's, yes, be thankful, count our blessings, be grateful for what we've got, but remember there's other people that might be a little bit less fortunate than us. So let's try and share the magical, mystical sort of energy of what Christmas is about with each and every other person that's around us today, and make sure we don't eat too much, that we only eat what we need to eat, not necessarily too much of an overindulgence today. So just be very careful of that. So I'd like to talk about astrologically, we're going into, on December 26th, we're going into the new moon in Sagittarius. For those of you that watch the show regularly, you'll know I like to talk about 2 days on the approach, which would have taken it back to Christmas Eve. And I'm going to say to you that I like to work on a 7-day cycle, 2 days on the approach of the new moon, 3 days of the new moon, and then 2 days on the departure of the new moon. Now, what I like to do is write a list of what I'm going to release and what I also want to attract in this new moon cycle. Now, the new moon is in Sagittarius because it's the Sagittarian time of the year. But I also want you to sort of focus this year on the things that maybe you could have done better in 2019. Maybe you might want to release those and put those down on your list of what you're going to improve or change or bring towards you in the next month or the next 12 months. Make this a very magical full moon. So that's as much as I'm going to talk about astrologically today, because I want to spend that time in the show talking about grief. Because grief is one of those things that most of us are touched by at some stage or another in our lives. And the holiday season, and particularly Christmas Day, can be an incredibly difficult day for those that have lost somebody. And I'm not just always talking about somebody that you've lost in the last 12 months. For many of us, it can be many years ago. It can be even decades ago. And it still sort of pulls at your heartstrings on Christmas Day, where you're sitting around the Christmas table for lunch or dinner, and there's that person or persons that are missing. How do we cope with these sort of things? And I hear people say we all have different coping mechanisms, we all have different ways of dealing with our grief at Christmas time and other special holidays. Well, one of the things that I do, and this is one of the reasons why when we were designing a range of candles, I specifically designed a candle just purely for that purpose. And it's called My Angel in the Sky. Now, this candle is burning very brightly, I can assure you, in my dining room at the moment. I'll have 2 or 3 of these burning today around the house as we move into the festivities. And this is my subtle way of honouring all of the people that I've lost in my life, and I've lost quite a few over the years. And it's just a nice, subtle, gentle, fragranced candle. But if you don't have one of these, any candle will do. Light a candle and say a little couple of words in your own mind to those that you've loved and you've lost, and how that you're bringing them into part of the family celebration today. And every time you glance over at that lit candle today, think of them. Think of them in a bright, positive way. One of the things that I like to sort of share with people, for those of you that watch the show regularly, you'll know that I was widowed very young, over 30 years ago now, and I had very small children when I was widowed, and it wasn't far into the new year when I lost my husband all those years ago. And it was something that I had to sort of come to terms with. I'd never seen or experienced death firsthand as I did then. Yes, when I was a little girl, I'd had family members that passed away, but no one as I headed into my adult life. So it came as a very big shock to me, even though I believed in the afterlife and I knew that it was only the physical body that was gone. I'm still human, and I still had all the emotions that everybody else had, and I still had little children to raise and try and instill in them that, next Christmas without Daddy, the first one, would still be as special as it was, if not more special than when Daddy was here. So I started to bring in on board things that were traditional to us, things that were important to us as a family. And I kept those traditions going. And one of those has always been, we've always had a fresh Christmas tree, and it always must touch the roof. It doesn't matter whether the tree's 1 foot high or 10 foot high. That was our rules, that you've always had a fresh tree and it always touched the roof. And I kept that tradition going with my children. They're, well and truly grown-ups now and have families of their own. But it's interesting to see how those traditions have lived on with them, and they've taken that with them in their travels around the world. And I know at different times where they've been away from home for Christmas and they've rung me and told me that, they might only have a tree that's 6 inches high, but Mum, we've made sure we touch the roof with it for Dad. And I think it's those little magical things that we set aside, that we start to do each year, that become part of our history, become part of the fabric of Christmas, and our way of remembering those that are special to us. I know when my dad was alive and I was a little girl, he was always magical at Christmas time. He used to tell the most dreadful, god-awful jokes. But anyway, we loved them and we loved him. And he always had this magical sort of look in his eye, and used to tell me how he'd seen Santa the night before and he'd left him at a frothy drink and things like that. And Santa wasn't keen on Christmas cake. He'd much rather have something else a little bit stronger than a glass of milk. And I used to look at him and think, why would Santa want something more than a glass of milk? Wouldn't he want that for his bones and to make him grow big and strong? But they're the magical things that you remember, even as an adult, that we remember some of those little things. And, there's my dad's mum who always made Christmas so magical, and I still remember her. She's been gone many years now. But Christmas Day with her was just sort of like a magical wonderland. Now, these are the little stories that I think we should be bringing up around the Christmas table today, your own personal family stories, and remembering people that are gone, and maybe setting down some Christmas traditions, things that were important to them, things that they love to do. And, start to make this a very happy day, even though it's a sad day in many ways. Make sure that we make it a happy day, and that we're able to sort of bring the magic of Christmas back again. I know for many people it's a day of loneliness where not everybody has family to spend the day with, and television and radio can be an amazing comfort at this time of the year, where you're able to hear other people talking or playing a Christmas carol or watching the repeat of the Christmas carols that have been on in your local area. And yes, there's plenty of Christmas movies to watch and things like that, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that you may be on your own. So for those people that are on your own, please know that we're here for you at A1R Psychic Radio on Moonstruck TV, and you're most welcome to be part of our family and part of our Christmas celebrations. And we will hold you in our heart and hope that you have a most magical day and that you can feel the love pouring out from this show and all the other shows that have been on previously tonight, so this afternoon. So it's been an absolutely magical time. And for those of you that are grieving somebody that you've just recently lost, it's okay to be sad. Don't necessarily do you have to put on a smile all day today. You are allowed to go off and have a few tears and some little bit of time to yourself, because I don't think anybody's going to expect you to be sort of have this plastered smile on your face all day today. And it is okay to be sad, and it is okay to talk about them. And I think that's one of the things that most people don't seem to understand. The important part of grief is encouraging that person to talk about it, even if it does make them sad, even if they are crying. It's a very important release. Don't sort of shut the conversation down because you don't want to upset them. This is the exact wrong thing that you should do. You should encourage them to talk about it. You should encourage them to cry, to be upset, to be themselves. I believe there's a certain amount of tears in a bucket for each person that we lose. And until such time as we've cried all those tears, I don't believe the healing starts to begin. And it's something, as I said, over the last 35, 36 years that I've learned many different methods of how to cope with grief. But one of the best ones I still believe to this day is communication, is encouraging that person to talk about it, to be open, to be honest, to be upfront with you about how they're actually feeling. And if they're angry with that person, that's okay too. There's many, many, many different stages of grief that we go through. But for those of you that might be struggling with grief or know someone that's struggling with grief, can I recommend one of the best books on the market? It's by Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And she was, in my opinion, an expert on grief. She wrote many, many, many books on the subject. But the best one, and the one that I call her Bible, is called On Death and Dying. Now, all libraries have many copies of this. You can pick it up online, fairly inexpensive. It's a book that I still refer to even this day, and it's still a book that I recommend to my clients that are going through a difficult time with grief. You can never, ever not have this book on your bookshelf, I believe. It's like your Bible. You need to have one sitting next to the Bible because you never know when you're going to need to sort of just open up a chapter and read it and give you comfort or give you some strength, or to be able to help you with some wise words to help somebody through their difficult part of the time in their lives when they've lost someone that's special. So let's take our first caller, and it's going to be Tracy in Manchester in England. Merry Christmas, Tracy. How are you on Christmas Eve over there?
I'm fine, thank you.
Can you speak up a little bit, Tracy? I can't hear you, sweetheart.
I'm fine, thank you.
That's good. Do you have a question I can work with, Tracy?
I'm just missing the parents at the moment, and I just wanted to, I don't know, me just head's messed up at the moment.
What, you're not feeling as if your life's working out the way that you would like it to at the moment, Tracy? Because I'm struggling to hear you, sweetheart.
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Let me tune into your energy and see what we can bring forward that's positive message for you at this time of the year. The first thing that they're sharing with me, Tracy, is that there's a number of endings, changes and transformations going on. So even though I feel the last 6 months in particular have been incredibly difficult on an emotional front for you, where you've had to work through a lot of old emotions to try and release and let go of things, you're still struggling with two people in particular. Was there some sort of disagreement with these two people? And I'm not saying that they're a couple, but two people that you've got a real issue with, that you're trying to come to terms with why they behaved the way they did. You just don't seem to get any answers. Is that what you've been struggling with?
Yes.
Yeah, look, they're sharing with me. I don't know that we're necessarily going to get any more clarity than what you've got. I think what you need to do, Tracy, is do yourself a favour, draw a line under it and say, there's nothing more I can do about these situations with these two people. I've now got to put myself first. I've now got to look after Tracy and try and find some way to move forward. What they are showing me is from this point on, I think your life is going to get a lot easier, Tracy. I'm not going to say I can wave a magic wand and magically overnight Santa's granted all your wishes. But what I can assure you is as we progress through the next 2 or 3 months, life is going to start to get marginally easier. Each day is a little bit easier than the day before. And as you start to put yourself first, you will start to find that things will start to magically start to unfold for you, and life will start to move in a very, very different direction, in a much more positive direction. They're also sort of showing me that you feel very alone, Tracy. Is that how you're feeling?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, and it's, look, I understand that and I empathise with you, but I want you to sort of know that you aren't totally alone. Even though you might have people around you and you still feel alone, I want you to know that you're very significant, you're very special, and there's lots of people out in the world you're yet to meet, and you're going to meet quite a few of them in this next 12 months, who are really going to value you and make you feel special and tell you how important you are and how grateful they are that you've entered their life, that you've been like a breath of fresh air. And they will be the same for you. So the sadness, the loneliness, the feeling unworthy, the feeling like nothing ever goes right in your life, Tracy, is about to leave you. So I think that's a very positive thing. You've been to hell and back on a number of occasions, and it's now time we shut the door on that and open up the world to something very beautiful and bring in the sunshine into Tracy's life. So I hope that's helped you, sweetheart, and a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We're going to talk with Angela now in Spring City in Pennsylvania in the USA. Are you there, Angela?
Yes, I am.
All ready for Christmas, are we, Angela?
Yes, of course. I had a lot of shopping to do this year.
Right. So is it snowing where you are, sweetheart?
Surprisingly, no. We haven't really had a white Christmas in like 4 to 5 years now.
Oh, that's not good. Well, let's hope you get a white Christmas. So how can I help you this evening, Angela? Do you have a question for me?
You know what? I figured, you know what? I would let you tell me what you need to tell me for the reading. Okay. That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. It's just normally I ask if there's a question so that I make sure that I answer exactly what you want to know. The first thing that they're showing me around you, Angela, is a lot of areas of your life have seemed to have sort of narrowed down and almost come to a stop over the last couple of months. Now, the reason for that is that things in your life are starting to come to a close. It's like we're ending or we're changing things. And it's sort of like as we bring things to a sort of like a narrow point or a close, then we're going to go into the wishing well and be able to sort of open everything up and start afresh and sort of bring some new exciting things into your life. So have you just moved house in the last 12 months, Angela?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Have you just moved house in the last 12 months?
Yeah, I was living at my parents' house in the beginning of the year, and I kind of ended up here. It started with like car issues, and then I ended up just staying out in this town. So it was like a surprise.
Okay. But I feel that was important, though, for the next stage in your life was to get you into this new location. It's sort of interesting how, you know, our spirit guides work and they push and poke us and sort of, you know, get us to jump on the next part of our lives without us even realising it, you know, sort of causing a few things that make us make choices or decisions that weren't in the plan that we had set for ourselves. So that's good. I'm glad you've moved house because they were showing me once you'd moved house and it had to be nearly 12 months that, you know, we'd been in the new location, then the doors were going to start to fly open. So if we're nearly at the 12-month mark, that's amazing because now the doors are going to start to fly open to new opportunities. So have you been feeling lonely as well this year, Angela?
Yeah, I have.
Because they're showing me a beautiful pink heart, and when they show me a beautiful pink heart, that usually indicates new love coming in. I think you need to let go of all the old hurts and worries and things like that connected with romance and open yourself up ready for a new man. I think there's a new relationship coming in around February, March this year that's going to be very, very significant and something that I think is going to be with you for a very long time. 2020 is going to be an absolutely amazing year, Angela. You've got new love, you've got a much more stable feeling coming in, and I'm also going to say money's going to start to stick to you like glue for a change instead of it coming in one hand and going out the other. It's going to be a time where we're going to... It will be nice. It'll be a nice change to be able to sort of say, look, I can pop some money in the bank in case I want to buy something particularly special or have a little bit put aside for a rainy day. So these are all amazing things that are starting to happen. I feel by the middle of 2020, Angela, then there's going to be some big decisions and another major turning point in your life. I feel this will be connected with the relationship. So this may be that things are hotting up and the two of you are getting super serious and it's like time to make decisions or start talking about a more serious, more permanent arrangement with your future together. But by the time you come to that point, you don't feel uncomfortable with this. It feels very natural, it feels very right, and it feels like the right thing to do. So I can only suggest to you that this new relationship that's coming, even though he may be packaged differently or might have different attributes to what you're used to, this is what you need. You need somebody that can stand on their own 2 feet, somebody that can take the pressure off you a little bit, Angela. You've always been the one that's had to be the leader in a relationship and carry both of you. It'll be nice this time to be able to share the load, will it not?
Yeah, no, that'd be nice.
Yeah, and he's a really hard-working, decent sort of man. Look, I'm not going to say not handsome. He is handsome. He's got dark hair. He's got the most beautiful bluey-green coloured eyes. But the most important thing is he's got the most beautiful big heart. He's really kind and beautiful to you, and he just wants to make you happy and treat you like a princess that you deserve. And you've never really known that, Angela, and I think that's the most beautiful part of this relationship. Look, I don't think he's a multi-millionaire. I think, you know, he works hard and he earns a reasonable living and, you know, he manages to get by. But, you know, it's the little things that he's going to do for you that make him so significant and such an amazing man. And I feel that there will be a move together, and this will give you the opportunity, I think, to put some roots down in your life that you've so desperately craved for such a long, long time. It'd be nice to have a home that you can call your own, would it not, Angela?
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Well, that's what I feel that this new relationship and this new man's going to bring to your life is an opportunity to have a place to call home that is really your home. It's something that will be yours and his together, and that's amazing. Look, I really feel very excited for you, Angela. I know that, you know, for all the difficult things that you've been through in your life, things now are going to start to sort of unfold and become the way that they should have been a very long time ago. So just look at this last 12 or so months. It's been so difficult and we've had to close off and shut down many areas of your life as getting you ready for this new, exciting new chapter in your life. So I hope that's been of help to you, Angela.
Yes, it was great speaking to you as well. Thank you so much.
Very, very good. Have a very, very Merry Christmas and a happy and prosperous New Year, Angela. So it's interesting as we've worked with two people around the world, Tracy and Angela, that they both had different stories to share with us here on this Christmas edition. But it just goes to show you that it doesn't matter where you are in the world, we all have very similar problems or situations. And unfortunately, we can only take 2 callers per show. But in my experience, quite often the message that I share with a particular person on the show radiates out to so many other people that have a very similar question or have a similar area of their life that they were struggling with. So just because I've only worked with Angela and Tracy doesn't mean the message can't be for you as well. So as the show draws to a close for another week, I want you to sort of think about what Christmas traditions you're going to start to make part of your family tradition from this Christmas on, and remember those that have gone. They're still there with us. Set a place at the table for them. Put a party hat out and a bonbon. They love to be included in part of the festivities, and if you're like me and you've got more than one person that's gone before, I make it a collective seat at the table for everybody that they can all take it in turns and fight over it and fight over the party hat, and I'll raise a glass to them all. And it's those sort of things that I think make Christmas much more bearable for those that are struggling with loss and grief, that we can try and sort of put a positive spin on it, and we can start some new family traditions. And we have a family tradition where we try and talk about over Christmas lunch one of our favourite memories from somebody that's no longer with us. And each year it might be somebody different. I mean, my children don't bring up their father each year. Now they bring up other people like their grandfather or their great nana or aunts or uncles or even school friends that they've lost over the time. So each year we have different stories and different things that we share and have a laugh about and sort of say, do you remember when Pa wore that silly Santa hat and, tried to pretend he was Santa, but he didn't have a round enough tummy, or whatever the case may be. So start your own family traditions, and that will help you get through these magical holidays a little bit easier. So I hope each and every one of you have the most magical, amazing Christmas ever. I hope Santa brings you whatever gift it is that your little heart desires. What I asked for from Santa this year was to everybody in the world to be happy, safe, well, and have good health. And most importantly, I want rain here in Australia to put out those terrible bushfires so that people can get back to their lives and start rebuilding. I know how terrible the sense of fire is, and it's something that is a very scary event. I mean, it doesn't matter what weather event you might be facing around the world, whether it's bushfires, floods, being snowed in or whatever. Any disaster is a very difficult thing, and we wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas. And I hope you don't drink too much, because I don't want you to get a hangover. Sometimes a glass of, fizzy pop is just as good as a glass of alcoholic beverage. So until next week, I hope Santa's finding his way to your place. He's already landed here in Australia, and there's lots of excited children unwrapping presents as we speak. But for those of you that are still waiting on Santa to come down the chimney at your house or come through the front door, may he bring you everything that you want, and have a very, very Merry Christmas. And we'll see you next week. Bye for now.